So why is it that when you get back from vacation, it's not long before you're just as stressed as you were before you left? Here's why. Because time off won't heal you when the problem is how you spend your time on. So you're a month or so past Christmas break or summer vacation, and you should be full of energy, ready to tackle all the decisions you left. But for a lot of us, let's be honest, we're not, right? You get back after your vacation, after your break, and you're exhausted. What's worse is after you've taken time off, you've got more decisions to make because they piled up, work is piled up, and the energy you thought you built up from your relaxing time off vaporizes, and you don't know what happened. So here's the question. Why doesn't time off work? Well, there are at least two reasons why. First of all, time off won't heal you when the problem is how you spend your time on. The problem with most leaders, and I've struggled with this myself, is not how we spend our time off. It's how we spend our time off. Most of us know how to vacation well, right? Lie on that beach, whatever you're doing, take a break off. We don't know how to vocation well. I learned the lesson of time off not refueling you the hard way. In fact, the worst summer of my life happened in 2006, almost 20 years ago. So personally, I had been in leadership for about 11 years at that time, and I was burning out. Now, I kind of suspected burnout. People told me for years, hey, you're going to burn out. But I thought, because I was stronger than everybody, that I could stop it with a vacation because, only weak people need to really slow down. So I thought, take a week off, I'll be better. And I know lots of people told me, Carey, you were running at an unsustainable pace, but I didn't listen well. I didn't listen to them at all. So what happened for me was the burnout started in May. I came home feeling on top of the world, just spoke at a big conference. By July, I was exhausted. I said, okay, I'm going to take 3 weeks off. So I took 3 weeks off and I didn't get better. I got worse. I went back to work in August. I kind of cratered. And to make a long story short, it took me more than a year to get back to even 70% of my normal capacity. Now, there's a lot of lessons I could unpack in that season, but one of them that I learned, along with about a million other lessons, was simply this, that time off isn't the solution, all right? If you are running at an unsustainable pace, you're gonna have problems if your answer is, well, I just gotta get summer vacation. I just gotta take a longer Christmas break. I just need a weekend off, because how I spent my time off wasn't my problem. Time off can't save you if the problem is how you spend your time on. That's the undeniable lesson. So the problem for most exhausted and depleted leaders isn't vacation, it's vocation. See, here's what was wrong. Back in 2006, I was living at an unsustainable pace. And as the church I led grew, and it was growing rapidly, my formula was simple and it was stupid. More people equals more hours. And that is fundamentally unsustainable. And a lot of you are struggling with that right now, right? You just have more responsibility, things are growing, and you're like, well, I'll just work more hours. Figuring out how to manage your time and energy when you're on will solve the problem. Taking more time off will not. And this leads me to number 2. This is why sabbaticals and leaves generally don't solve burnout. Now, this might get me canceled, but I don't think sabbaticals work. In fact, I went into a whole rant about it with Mark Clark on a podcast episode last year. All right, but here's my challenge with it, right? So many leaders I talk to, I get puzzled by this. They're like, well, I'm just going to take a sabbatical. And every 7 years or 10 years or 5 years, they take a sabbatical. And what they do is they overwork for years and then say 3 months off is going to solve it. And let's imagine, okay, let's play this game. Let's say you got a villa in France. Let's say it's a 5-star place. You're out looking over the Mediterranean. It's amazing, okay? And you come back, you feel great. You know what happens to a lot of leaders? First Monday back, roadkill. It's just like, boom, everything you left behind just conspires against you. So here's why I believe a sabbatical, good as it may be, is not the solution for an unsustainable pace. A sustainable pace is the solution for an unsustainable pace. So when the way you're living and leading is broken, all the time off in the world won't fix it. So the question is, well, what do you do? Well, I have a deep and robust strategy that's helped me deal with everything in life and leadership that's been thrown at me, and it's helped me for over 20 years now. In just a couple minutes, I'm going to share 3 very practical things you can do right now that are going to help you get through this season of overwhelm you may be in. But first, I want to extend an invitation, okay? Here's what a lot of leaders get wrong. They're thinking, well, I kind of missed this new year, and so I got to wait until next January to fix my overwhelm. Well, I got good news for you. On February 3rd, I'm kicking off a 4-week, highly productive leader challenge designed specifically for leaders who feel stuck in the cycle of overwhelm. Now, this isn't about sprinting at an unsustainable pace. It's not about powering up or powering through. All right, you tried that. Guess what? It doesn't work. You know what it is about? It's about breaking free from the patterns that keep you too busy so you can do what matters most. You know, you always kick your sermon prep to tomorrow, and then you kick it to Thursday, and then suddenly it's Saturday. This is what I want to help you solve so that work doesn't keep eating up your family time. So what's going to happen inside the challenge? I've got on-demand learning, group accountability, and live coaching with me, and you'll gain practical tools. They're going to help you finally get ahead on your priorities to feel inspired and not feel rushed. I'm going to help you reclaim your time for your family and your personal life. Maybe you were planning to work out and you haven't done that yet. Guess what? We'll show you exactly how to make the time to do that. I'm going to show you how to make real progress on your goals without burnout. This isn't about powering up, okay? In less than 90 minutes each week, you'll take huge steps forward to become more productive, more impactful, and more in control of your calendar, your life, and your time. And as a bonus this year, I'm going to do something fun. I've never done this before. I'm hosting an exclusive live coaching session focused entirely on how to work ahead on your sermons so you can break free from the crushing weekly deadlines that destroy your Saturdays, right? You'll actually get a Saturday off. And what if you could be not just 1 week, but 2, 3, 4 weeks ahead on your sermon prep? I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. You don't have to run on empty. To join the challenge, simply visit productive2025.com. It's not too late, okay? This year is not blown. Make February the turning point for your year and for your ministry. All right, promised you 3 things you could do right now. Think of this as a little deposit before the challenge. I think they're going to make a big difference. Number 1, first thing you can do, make some categorical decisions. Categorical decision making is a superpower for leaders who have too much to do, and almost every leader has too much to do these days. So by default, here's how you make decisions in leadership. You do them one by one, right? As they come at you. Well, one of the best ways to simplify decision making is to think in categories, because if you look at it, a lot of the decisions you make have similarities. For example, when this ministry I do to church leaders started to grow, I was faced with a bunch of requests for things like podcast interviews we get on my podcast, right? Webinar appearances, online events, and even to join staff meetings virtually. So it got overwhelming at first. And at the beginning, my team and I looked at every single request individually and we weighed it. But as it piled up, we started to notice patterns, all right? Often we get like half a dozen requests a day. And here's what we did to handle volume. We moved to categorical decision making. Here are the events I decided ahead of time I'm going to speak at. Here are the ones I won't. Here's the kind of meetings and webinars I'll take. Here's what I won't do. And we just sat down and we made some decisions. All right, now what that did, I'll give you a current example, is it frees up your decision-making power, even your mental capacity. So current example, I don't do individual coaching. Now, I have one leader I coach. I've coached him for years. And other than that, I don't make room in my calendar for it. But in the last few weeks, I had one leader offer me a huge amount of money to coach him. He's like, what's it going to take? I'll pay it. I said no, because I got to keep time available to do other things that are arguably more important. Then I had a really sweet aspiring author ask me if I could coach her. And you know what? I really wanted to do it. I wanted to do both these actually, but I couldn't do it. So instead, I gave her a gracious reply and I got her the help she needed by redirecting her to someone who could coach her, but it was in the end a no on both occasions. Now, that was a lot easier because the decision was made ahead of time and I don't have to occupy all kinds of mental bandwidth going, should I do this? Should I not? Decision's done. decisions made. The result when you make categorical decisions is your team has clarity, you have clarity, and actually the people you serve get clarity too. No, he doesn't do counseling, or he doesn't do this, or he doesn't do that. Plus, I have the time now to work on really big projects and new writing that nobody ever asked me to do, but I need to do this if I'm going to serve you well. So what kinds of things can you categorically eliminate? Well, this will take you a while to think through, but over the years, I've done things like categorically eliminate doing weddings and funerals. I know you're like, whoa, you're a pastor. How can you do that? I don't do weddings, and as a rule, I don't do funerals. I don't do pastoral visitations. We ended up with a very big church. We couldn't do it anymore. Did it when it was small, couldn't do it when it was bigger. I don't do breakfast meetings because I am the most productive in the morning. I don't do lunch meetings for the most part, or even meetings that last over an hour. Now, I got a whole list of categorical decision making that I follow, but those are just some examples. Now, when you make decisions like this is going to force you to create systems for these important things that are not dependent on you and far more empowering to your team, because your team is now going to know, oh, these are his criteria. They might even be able to say no on your behalf. So I always get asked, well, Carey, do you ever make exceptions? And the truth is, yeah, I do. Okay, not often. But if my niece asks me to do her wedding, guess what? I'm doing it, okay? And now I don't have 150 nieces. I just have a handful of nieces. But if they want me to do their wedding, I'm available, okay? If other people complain, well, you didn't do mine, but you did hers, it's like, well, you're not my niece, okay? You have to have categories like that. And what you'll discover is the best leaders are top of their field, not because they say yes, but because they have thought through how to strategically say no. And it's your ability to say no that really sets you apart. Categorical decision-making saves mental energy and a tremendous amount of time because you already made the decision. Case closed, move on. Okay, that was a big riff on categorical decision-making, but the second thing you can do right away, I just call it simplify, simplify, simplify. You really want simplicity. This one's very easy to understand, very difficult to implement, okay? Complexity in leadership is your enemy. And many leaders have a strategy or a system that's overly complex and complicated. Now, the problem with complexity is complexity doesn't scale. And at a certain level, it's also exhausting, right? You don't even know how it works, and nobody knows how it works, and it's tiring. So the more complicated things get, the more discouraged you and your team get. So complexity is the enemy of what you want to accomplish. The secret to scale is simplicity. Now, simple is not simplistic, and simplistic isn't simple. As Woody Guthrie said, any fool can make something complicated. It takes a genius to make it simple. So you're going to have to do some hard work. You've got to sit down. You got to look at the whole thing. Why is it complicated? How can we simplify it? And great leaders stick with a problem or idea long enough, and they engage it deeply enough to clear away the fog and to reduce the concept to its simplest form so anyone can understand and implement it. And that's your job. So ask yourself, what things can you stop doing so you can start doing more important things? A simpler, leaner model will help you thrive in complicated times. Now, I'll give you an easy cut. Okay, you're like, well, where would I start? Well, how about this? There is a ministry or program in your church or your organization that you have to manufacture energy for. You know, the one that almost nobody shows up to, but you keep running anyway, and you have to promote it because it's kind of failing. Here's a simple thing. Simplify it by cutting it. Just kill it, okay? It's barely alive anyway. It doesn't take a leader to kill something that's on life support, so just get rid of it. There, now you got a simpler model, okay? The more complex the world becomes, the simpler your approach needs to be. All right, third thing you can do is ditch the endless work day, work week. Okay, the boundaries between work and home are as blurry as they have ever been as we continue to work from home more and more. And you're like, well, wait, I have an office. I go into the office. Well, yes, but you also have one of these, and you got a laptop, and maybe you have a tablet, all right? Now, I have been working from home for most of the last 30 years for personal reasons. I actually prefer it. Even when we had a building, I would often work from home 2 or 3 days a week. Now, it took me years to figure out how to do it well, but I'm more convinced than ever that you need a strategy so that you're not working at 10 o'clock at night, right? Your daughter wants to watch Disney Plus, and you're sitting there and your phone's chirping, your laptop's open, and you're not really paying attention. But your coworker has a question about the expense report. Like, what do you do, right? So the problem, and technology has been great, but it's been super challenging, is you used to go to the office, but thanks to technology, now the office goes to you. So even if you, quote, work from the office, you bring the office home. And this technology is fully capable of interrupting you anytime, anywhere, even on vacation, even when you're asleep. So because I love what I get to do, I've had to force myself to make hard stops. I tell myself, okay, the laptop is going away. I'm going to do a hard close. I'm going to turn off all notifications on my device. I'm going to move my phone out of my bedroom at night. In fact, I charge it here in my office. That's several floors down from where I sleep. And I decided that some things can wait, okay? You just can't answer everything all the time. You want a good little hack to help you break your work technology addiction? I'll give you one. Get a hobby, okay? If you get so engrossed in something, whether it's a workout regime or you love barbecue like I do, you'll lose the desire to even check your phone because you're so busy with something else that's occupying your focus. And a lot of leaders have no hobby. So now you know, okay? 3 things. Make some categorical decisions, simplify, and put in some hard stops so you can ditch the endless work week. Your phone is not your friend. Put these 3 actions into play, and I think you're going to start to see some movement. And if you're ready to make a real difference to really, I know we're off to, a slow start here. You're like, my New Year's resolutions didn't really work out. I hope you'll join me in the Highly Productive Leader Challenge this February. You know why we did it in February, not January? Because everybody's doing it in January, and a month later, there's a lot of people going, it didn't work. Well, I've got good news. You can join us at productive2025.com. And remember, we're in this together. Okay, so drop a comment. Let me know what is the most challenging aspect of you keeping your time manageable. Like, what do you struggle with most? Drop it in the comments and maybe we can help each other.